to the second episode of the L-DIH Talks. My name is Ivan. I'm support officer at the Digital Innovation Hub. And so let's start with today's topic. Innovate together our tailored training offer for your employees. Sorry. Please welcome our speaker, Dr. Thomas Benz, training specialist at the University of Luxembourg. And before we begin, I would like to bring your attention to the question tab in the chat. Feel free to drop your question there anytime. We will address them in the Q&A at the end of this session. And I give the word to you, Thomas. Sorry.
Yes. Hello, everybody, and thanks for the introduction, Ivan. Welcome to the session today. My title is Innovate Together, our tailored training offer for you and maybe your employees. And I would like to start with looking at the major takeaways from today. So at the end of the webinar, I hope three topics become more clear. And I hope that you would have knowledge about, first of all, the difference between a training offer offered by, as it is offered by many continuing education institutions and university level continued education, what we can do and what we cannot do. Then the second would be becoming aware what the next possible development, the next possible phase of development for your employees or for yourself might be through knowing where you stand. And for that, terms like skills intelligence and social and economic capital are important. The third point would be a better understanding of the digital skills maturity assessment. And this is here the great abbreviation DSMA down here. And whenever that's mentioned, it refers to the digital skills maturity assessment as a distinct service that that we offer in the Luxembourg Digital Innovation Hub, who also hosts this webinar here. Well, before everything, what is a tailored training offer? And for that, I would like to focus on a recent program that we did with a company here in Luxembourg. It's nearly completed now. And the title of that program is Digital Champions. It's supposed to be more than a tool training, and it's supposed to include as many contextual skills as necessary to reach certain goals that are dictated by the market and through the needs of technological innovation. So the difference here, a tool user, and an expert. If you undergo university traditional education, you have a bachelor's, a master's, or maybe even a PhD, then you can call yourself an expert in a certain field. But I think most of you will know that for just adapting to a new technology, this is either not feasible, or it's an expense and a time investment that's just too large. So there is a tool user. A tool user is somebody who maybe reads something about a certain tool that enables a new technology on the internet and teaches themselves to webinars or to FAQ sessions, and they will have a basic understanding of how to operate the tool and use it to complete specific tasks or solve straightforward problems. Now there's an efficient tool user, and the difference here is that it goes a step further. The key characteristics of an efficient tool user are the proficiency. They have a higher level and familiarity with the tool, allowing them to use it more efficiently. The optimization. They know how to use the tool in the most efficient way, saving time and effort. Problem solving. They can interpret tasks and turn them into certain steps, and therefore solve complex issues that may arise during tool use. Best practices. They are aware of how to get the most out of the tool's potential. And then an expert. An expert is what you would normally refer to as somebody who underwent a traditional university level education, for example. So when it comes to tailored training, and this is a one important takeaway, when it comes to tailored university level education, it's about minimizing your employees or your own time and effort investment and making the most out of the time spent doing training in order to achieve a succinctly defined tasks, which is often a technological innovation. In this digital champions tool, we had four training modules, and these modules, they went beyond just using. It was a training in business intelligence, and the core of the training was using the tool ClickSense. But for us, it became necessary for the participants to understand, as they had vastly different backgrounds, to understand what business intelligence can do and what you cannot do and what falls out of the scope of such, and with scenarios. So to get literate about business intelligence outside from using the mere tool. Then the module 2 also focused on developing an idea and applying certain technology literacy to create a roadmap for technological development. Module 3 was on AI and machine learning, as this is becoming increasingly more important based on everything that we have learned about the changing landscape of business intelligence. And module 4 was finally the ClickSense tool, which included guided practice and use case developments. An example here of module 1 shows that apart from the foundational concepts and the evolution of BI technologies, knowing how and when to utilize business intelligence and making learners confidently select features. For that, every module was also structured into 3 levels of difficulty, or let's call it depth, because here an important aspect of tailored training comes into play, which is choice. Not everybody, even within a cohort of trainees from the same company, wants to do the same things or goes into the same depth. Furthermore, their backgrounds are often vastly different. They might have already, by chance, by previous experience, by work experience, or even by education, they might be knowledgeable about some aspects of business intelligence, but only require some other information. And in order to be really learner sensitive here, we structure our modules into 3 levels. The entry level is something, an introduction, that if you are totally new to the topic, you should definitely take this. The intermediate level goes into a certain self-paced learning exercise, which is receiving feedback from the trainer. And the advanced level is optional, and it allows the trainer to focus on certain participants that really want to go in depth and explore new possibilities of business intelligence, which is module 1.4. The choice matters. So this also projects into the hours, and the slide here should show this on the example of module 2. An hour investment, the time investment for participants, if they are knowledgeable about how they want to take their training path, is much different in comparison to a training where everybody just needs to take everything. And therefore, the efficiency of the training for the individual is potentially much more increased. So for module 2, this meant that participants could either spend 6 or up to 12 hours taking the offers in module 2, which then was, so nobody was discriminated against just taking 6 hours. It was a choice, and this also links a different understanding of learning, where not everybody is measured based on the same based on the same expectation, but everybody is measured based on their proximal zone of development. That's the term that I used before. Then the another thing of tailored training is that the forms of evaluation and feedback are diverse. So here, the diversity of the structure, the diversity of the participants comes into play again. There we had final projects, we had feedback mechanisms that included written feedback, that included participants to know their learning, their achievement, and to understand what they could do next based on a professional's feedback. And we also try to include flipped classrooms where use case development and their executions are shared with peers and their trainers. So mistakes and failures are much more perceived, much more natural and desired as they provide a learning experience for everyone. By the way, what are we? The Luxembourg Digital Innovation Hub. Now, after having explained a little the major theme of our presentation today, let me shortly present us. We are a European project funded by Digital Europe, Horizon Funding 2020. And we are separated into four distinct areas. You could, as you see here, I myself, as a work package leader of the University of Luxembourg in skills and trainings, together with my colleague Jarouan, we offer four services. One is the internal digital skills maturity assessment, or this DSMA. The other is a guidance for a specific training program. The third service is a workshop to design content of new trainings, and this is also important because tailored training is not what is normally offered by a generic, let's say, a training provider, because it requires competence that are barely ever in-house. And then the awareness sessions on digital training offering, and this is a training catalog which we also curate and update every year. The webinar series, as this one here, is part of it. And an example for a workshop which allowed us to actually create the tailored trainings is shown below here. We meet with stakeholders then, in case if a company should request a tailored training. We meet with stakeholders from the training, from the industrial landscape, and design a common understanding of things like occupational profiles, about skills and competences that are required in certain fields, and how these are changing. So we do these workshops to receive live feedback on the training landscape. So, and this leads to the context. Context matters here. Knowing the fields of application is as important as knowing the skills required for it. So what you see here is a little diagram. It should show you the importance of understanding occupational pathways, because having learned something and having a proof of having done so are, let's say, two different things. Because we live in societies where a lot relies on degrees, on certificates, on proof of certain educational achievements. We must, when we create tailored training for your company or for employees, we must understand that these trainings also provide added value in terms of the society that we live in and that you work in, and that we all work in. So for that, on the left side, the working environment matters, and the working environment is often defined by certain occupations within companies. What you see up here is the ESCO occupations. The ESCO is a framework designed by the European Union just to understand, to come to a common and shared taxonomy on occupations and the skills required, because it also has the equivalent of the ESCO skills on the right side. And then the multiple denominators for occupation. that distinguish one against the other within different societies. Then understanding for this, when knowing an occupational path, understanding accreditation requirements that normally lead to such an educational achievement. While on the other hand, and this is marked there in red, understanding previous education and professional achievements. So becoming aware of informal and non-formal learning that the participants or future participants have done. And finally, understanding the skills and the competencies that are most required for, let's say, a technological innovation or for a tool that the company wants to adapt in. And for that, there's another ESCO classification, which includes, for now, 13,939 skills and is distinguished between knowledge, the language of skills and knowledge, skills, and transversal skills. So all of this is very technical and goes very in depth. If you're curious, you can follow the QR code that leads you to a subset of the ESCO, which is Digicom, which focuses on digital skills and skills for Industry 5.0, for example. So when we had our workshops, we created these occupational pathways based on existing understandings within the Luxembourgish ecosystem here, within the Luxembourgish environment, that within companies, within workplaces, and how a person who is maybe a manager or at a certain company would understand an operational technology engineer and which kind of competencies should fall in there. So this is a little example of one of our workshop brainstorming sessions as to better illustrate what occupational pathways mean and this shared taxonomy that we need to develop in order to train somebody to be something. So, what another important tool that we curate every year is our training catalog. Our training catalog plays a large role in understanding the training environment and making the tailored trainings as succinct as possible, because it allows us to understand what's currently done on the other side, on the side of all training providers in Luxembourg, and how skills and competencies that these trainings develop, how these skills and competencies change, and how the categorization of these skills and competencies changes as well. So every catalog that we publish, and today we are working on the 2025 training catalog. You can follow the QR code once it's done. For now, the 2024 version is there, and we change the categories in which skills fall into with every iteration of the catalog. On 2024, for example, we updated the catalog with soft skills because at the beginning it was not clear for us, apart from the generic understanding of soft skills, how soft skills are defined for an Industry 5.0 setting. And this is what our training catalog caters to. Our training catalog caters to companies in industry here in Luxembourg. So soft skills became a new addition as we understood better what their purpose is in enabling, for example, exchange between different disciplines. Let's say the IT sector and the OT sector of a company. And yes, so for that we develop every year, and this is an important resource when we want to give you a tailored training to make it as succinct as possible and as matching as possible to the environment. So another important thing here is if you want to, and this is a matrix of competences developed for a so-called IT OT generalist. An IT OT generalist was something like a vision that we pursued in some workshops, where we asked what kind of training could we offer that enables people from IT or people from OT to learn the respective other environment. And with this matrix here, this matrix is based on brainstorming sessions with professionals and from industry and training. And with these trainings matrices, we also introduced an understanding of a basic level, an intermediate level, and an advanced level of when it comes to skills. This understanding is important because one occupational track does sometimes require, as was, for example, the business intelligence training, the digital champions, it required some knowledge of AI and machine learning because these fields are becoming more and more important, but it should not have been the focus of the training. So we had to understand where to stop, basically. Instead of sending people to a generic training on the possibilities of artificial intelligence and machine learning, we had to understand how to include those, but only on a basic foundational level or on an intermediate level. So participants don't lose themselves on their training track towards becoming knowledgeable users of the tool. And this understanding we developed based on the matrices here that you see as an example on the screen. These understandings are important to save you time and to make the training again as succinct as possible, purposeful. The determinant of complexity here was often rather scientific complexity, more than the depth of application. So these are the two, let's say, poles by which complexity can be defined. One would be the hands-on complexity in terms of how much specific knowledge is required for with a certain machine or with a certain procedure in industry. And the other measurement of complexity was the scientific complexity, meaning the theoretical understanding behind it. Yes, this was the soft skills. So knowing possible company trajectories is the third topic here, and it's the third topic that's very important to design a tailored training offer. A company needs to become aware of the next possible development of their employees by knowing where they stand. And for that, we need to measure. And the company also needs to know current and possible future fields of activities for the employees and tie those with a vision of the company's development. We can support in some of these aspects. The ideal case would be that the company does a digital maturity assessment, which is another service provided by Lux Innovation within our consortium here. And the goal of the service is providing a comparative account of digital performance. At the end of a digital maturity assessment, the company will receive a report about certain strengths and maybe shortcomings in terms of different fields that are relevant for the adaptation to new technologies. A report might look like this here. And then on a second step, we from the University of Luxembourg, the Competence Centre, we would base our understanding of what needs to be done in terms of a tailored training on this understanding of where the company stands and where they want to develop technology-wise. And this is where the DSMA comes in. The DSMA is, for now, it's a survey-based tool that is offered in 5 different languages, and it allows participants to self-report, but also to show what they would desire to do in terms of where they would desire to develop. So the advantage of the tool is that it provides accounts on different levels. It is not authoritative, it is self-reported, and therefore it does not infringe on, let's say, on structures, internal structures of decision making within the company, where a team leader or a CTO might know already what they want for their employees, but it can give added information to making the best possible call for a company as it is self-reported. The assessment goes a little further, and this is the second bullet point here. It asks the employees to assess the current and future desired maturity of a company's in terms of digital skills for a company's technological development. And this is important as it creates certain patterns afterwards when a number of employees have taken this test, and these patterns allow us to see where certain departments might distinguish also in their self understanding of technological competence. It allows us afterwards to connect multiple training providers to ensure the best fit for the company's needs. And we have a dedicated landing page for this assessment here, which is behind the QR code, and you can follow that. So the zone of proximal development, I would like to go a little further into that, because this is a term that I've used several times already now during this presentation here. Sometimes in the context of a company, sometimes in the context of an individual. And there's a theory linked to that, a scientific theory, which is called the zone of proximal development. In the two diagrams here, you can see that there is, on the left, there are tasks that learner can do without assistance. This is some kind of expertise. And this is distinguished from tasks that learners can do with some assistance, meaning that they're not quite there yet, doing it by themselves, but a minimal amount of guidance might get them there. And then there's on the right side tasks that learner cannot do even with assistance. So these are the tasks that might be out of the zone of proximal development. And if you decide for a training for your employees or for yourself, you should focus on somewhere in between the second and the third cubicle, as those are things that are achievable with a certain time investment for you, and the risk is much lower to the risk of frustration there is much lower. So this is the general idea behind the zone of proximal development. And again, it's important because it allows you to maximize your outcome from certain efforts into training and skills development. The categories of evaluation that we use in our digital skills maturity assessment are general. They refer to information and data maturity, to communication and collaboration, to digital content creation, and even to problem solving. So those are transversal areas where it's important to know. Everybody could somehow relate to these areas, and there it would be important to know where on top of what's on top of the results of the DMA, where a company could actually develop in general. And then part two of the DSMA is focusing on emerging technologies. And I think this list here is already outdated. And it allows us and the company um, to understand employees' desire in delving deeper into one of those topics. Here, we make a distinction between receiving some kind of webinar or some kind of presentation on these technologies and receiving a succinct training to better adapt to new technologies in these fields. So this is another variable here that we check against when we analyze the survey results. We make a distinction between what employees are basically interested in and what they believe they need to do, they need to learn in order to be ready for certain future developments. So there are some added benefits of the DSMA that I have not mentioned yet, and those are contextual. So why should you? There's the benefit of employee engagement. Often it's hard for employees to be a part in technological developments and the adaptation of technologies if they don't have a space, let's say, to express their thoughts or to express their fears or the risks that they might see and identify. It might serve you to identify knowledge gaps and then come to a more knowledgeable decision about whether it's really useful to already adopt this technology or whether you need to do something else first. It might help confirm required skills by using our knowledge of the markets, of occupational profiles, by using skills intelligence that we have developed, by using our insights. You can confirm apart from you just being in talks with your employees, you can come to an educated decision about certain skills that might already be there, where you just need this little assistance, the second step in Vygotsky's zone of proximal development for your employees to actually get there. And the idea case would be then that you adapt a technology where you have, let's say competence areas. You have 6 competence areas, and 3 of them require just a little bit of assistance in order for your employees to get there, while 3 others require your employees to do more or even require you to hire different people, different experts in the field. And becoming knowledgeable about all these things is a benefit that we can provide to these services here. So there's more problems that companies experience and that we have learned in our work in service of the ecosystem here in Luxembourg. There's an abundance of trainings offered here in Luxembourg in all different languages, and it took a long time to actually even for us to become aware of all the things that are out there. And our training catalog is a good resource to start, let's say, because we are not even complete there yet. So companies are often unsure what to train for and which trainings to take. We offer the research and the assessment behind it. Sector development is often slowed down by lacking commitment for reskilling and upskilling, as companies were not sure what kind of in time investment and financial investment would be required. And here, back to the zone of proximal development, they often don't know, and often employees themselves, they don't know their zone of proximal development themselves. Then there's often a hesitancy to ask for upskilling in certain scenarios where employees are afraid of being perceived as incapable of operating new environments and being afraid to lay off afterwards. So this kind of hesitancy can be overcome by allowing an anonymized account of different requirements for in the form of DSMA, for example. And then there's also the language. Often we can ask training providers if a certain course that exists already in Luxembourg can also be offered in a different language than French, maybe in German. And then maybe the added effort of going all the way to Frankfurt or to Mannheim to skill your or to train your employees might be avoided if the training is just here, basically within Luxembourg. A last benefit is accreditation. So with the reputation of our digital innovation hub, with the university, and with our partners like LIST and the House of Cybersecurity, the degrees that we provide and the certificates that we provide will have a certain standing that you might not receive from let's say, a smaller training provider. So I'm saying that also with the fact that we incorporate the efforts of smaller training providers, and we don't sell things. All our services are funded by the European Union and the Ministry of Economy. Hence, we don't compete with other training providers. We allow them to become part of something bigger that we can provide through the reputation of our consortium. So I think this is, I already talked about that in the respect of time. The training matrix, developing a learner profile is similar to developing an occupational profile, but then includes a certain listing of competences for different groups of learners, and these groups of learners often arise within companies. So there's new occupations that might be required in engineering, in the boardroom, or on the shop floor, and all of these might be important for adapting a new technology. Oops, sorry. Yes. So we, based on our digital skills assessment, we can organize workshops in the service of knowing these new occupations that might allow you to innovate in terms of new technology. And we have the time and the resources to invite professionals, to invite people from your company and training providers in a room to do so together with others. So this was just the last statement about our services. So with that, I would like to close. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I think, Ivan, I'm not over time.
Yes, no, you are not, Thomas. Thank you very much for this insightful presentation. I think we learned a lot about the training catalog and the DIH services. Thank you very, very much. Also, a big thank you to all of you for joining. I see there are no questions in the question tab. So if this was it, like I think we can close already here. Just a quick reminder that the next episode is on March 28th, and it's about data predictive maintenance. If you scan this QR code, you will land to our event page where you can register for our future events. Would be really happy to see registrations for our future events. And yeah, if this was it, I think I wait a little bit so you have time to scan the QR code. And then I wish you a great day. Thank you very much.